because the entire world is online right now, but uh,
It could be.
we're so used to things being done instantly that when it doesn't, we're like, "Wow, what's going
This is taking a whole 3 minutes.
on?"
Unacceptable.
Exactly. Okay, it says we're live.
All
So
right.
we are here in the hot seat. I've got Rebecca, and we are excited to be here because Rebecca has an interesting life and she's going to share a bit about herself and her business and all about her. But we're also going to be talking today about that reluctance or discomfort in going in live videos or videos in general, and we're going to be talking a bit today about how to overcome some of that discomfort to make it easier, especially because we know it will benefit our business for sure. So welcome, Rebecca. I'm so excited
Thank
to
you. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
tell us about you and all the good things that you've got going on.
Okay, so well, my career, my lifelong career up until a couple years ago was actually in skincare, and but I had a very successful career. I was an esthetician, and I did worked with lasers and cool sculpting and everything, and
Cool.
I actually opened a laser training school with a doctor here on the East Coast that and grew to a multi-million dollar company. I worked for a high-end plastic surgeon in New York, which is a 3-hour commute to me, but with high profile clients and things like that. I did that for about 5 years. I worked really, 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 really hard and was trying to climb this mountain. And I kind of got to this point where I felt like I did it and found myself really unhappy. I had money, I had success, I enjoyed my work, I enjoyed my coworkers, I have a happy marriage, wonderful children. I had on paper everything, and I just didn't feel aligned with it. And the truth is, I probably would have just kept doing it anyway had the universe not intervened. I think the universe was like, what are you doing here? This is,
Yeah.
and I was, I think, 42, and all of a sudden I was pregnant out of nowhere. And I was on the pill. We were done having kids. This was not anything that we saw coming, and just was pregnant. And that was the beginning. I didn't know it then, but that was the beginning of really a whole life transformation.
Wow.
Everything started to change. And it first started with me deciding I don't want to go back to New York anymore. And then I just don't want to go back to work anymore. I just don't want to be in this industry anymore. I want a new mountain. I want to climb a new mountain. I don't know what that is. And that led to me realizing that I don't even really know myself. I don't know what lights me up. I don't know what makes me excited. I don't know what my future looks like. I had no vision. I had nothing without that identity of what I had been building in my career. My career, I was so focused on my career and where my career was going. I was totally out of touch with everything else in my life. Literally every other aspect in my life, I was just completely clueless. And so as soon as I took the career away, I I had to change, and that wasn't easy in the beginning. It was like, I think it was a perfect storm of the baby, the hormones, midlife crisis, hit me hard. It really did. I was in my early 40s and going, what's the rest of my life going to look like, and in a panicked sort of state, like I'm running out of time, like, oh my God. And I definitely had some postpartum depression also going on after the baby came. And there was just, it was just turned into this tornado of really going down to the bottom and having to pick myself up, and in the meantime figure out what I wanted to do with a career. um, So I've spent the last 2 years in that, and I knew I wanted to work online. I started a blog. I started an e-commerce store. I really couldn't stand doing either one of them. I did not enjoy it at all. And like, not to say there's anything wrong with those paths. It just wasn't for me. I'm big in marketing. I've always loved marketing. It was one of my absolute favorite parts of my career. It's what I think made me as successful as I was. And I've always loved that. So I just felt like if I could just figure out what to sell, then I can go out and market it. But I was looking for all these sort of hiding in my corner type, like e-commerce. I mean, you don't know when you go buy something from a Shopify store, you don't know what that person looks like. And that was perfect to me. I loved that, that is why I did it. That is the only reason why I did it. And same with the blogging. I mean, I know bloggers get seen a little bit more, but they don't have to be. And I was fine with posting a picture, but I didn't have to speak. I didn't have to, that was the point of the blog versus a podcast, Yeah. So I was looking for those things, and I just was struggling so hard to find what I really wanted. And I had to work through a lot of things. There was a lot going on. I'm not even going to get into it, but all these other, things from childhood and stuff came up along the way. And I had to work on a lot of things, and I eventually got to a point where I could start to see clearly a little bit better. And in somewhat recently, I would say in the past 6 or 7 months, I started to be able to make decisions a little bit more clearly. Yeah. And I had been building sales funnels all along the way. I was building them for myself, but I was also building them for other people. Basically, I started to realize a couple things about sales funnels, is that a lot of people don't understand them. And a lot of people think they're just kind of like this magical thing that like, it build my business a funnel and then I will be a millionaire. Like it's just that easy. And
to be honest, they scare me.
What's that?
Funnels scare me.
Funnels scare a lot of people, and they think it's complicated, and they think it's overwhelming, and so they either avoid it and ignore it, or they dive in, but they dive in with the wrong idea of it, thinking, like I just said, that it's just this magical fairy dust sprinkled on their business, and it's not. It is a wonderful marketing tool and a method of marketing, but by itself, it's not going, you have to have all these other processes going on in your business for it to work. And so anyway, but I started realizing over and over, I'm having these conversations with people that I'm building funnels for and explaining this stuff to them. And I had a lot of people tell me, oh, I don't want a funnel. I don't want to, I don't want to talk about it. Just like you said, I'm scared of it, like it's too much. And
don't mention it. It doesn't exist.
Exactly. If you can't see me, I'm not here, kind of thing. And so I started realizing, and I'm like, God, I mean, funnels have done some amazing things, and there's certain aspects to them that work so well. There's a reason why they work. It is not magic. There's no fairy dust. There is a very specific reason or reasons why they work. And if you could apply these strategies to your business, even without a funnel, you don't have to build a funnel. But if you took those strategies that make the funnel work and applied it to your business, it would really, really benefit you. So you should maybe listen to why they work so well instead of being so afraid of it. I'm not talking you exactly to you, but like
saying it though, I'm like, I think we need to talk later.
So anyway, long story short, the more I had these conversations, at the same time, I was starting to become more clear in myself and what I wanted. And it all started to come together. And I realized that I think I want to help people use the strategies of sales funnels to better their business, with or without a funnel. If they want a funnel, great. If they don't, great. But to use those strategies. And I immediately realized that this means, Diva, that I'm going to have to go out and start talking to people. Like, oh boy, exactly. And, I did that in my career, my real career. I did that quite frequently, not so much online, but I went to a lot of events. I spoke on stages to hundreds of people, very professional people. I did all kinds of, I taught, in the school that I built. Every single month we had a program. And I was fine with it. Never even batted an eye. And I don't know, online, I think there's two differences. One, this is new to me. I mean, it's not, it's more new than that was, let's put it that way. But I think the bigger thing is that it's online. This is like going to whoever wants to click on it. And that just scares the bejesus out of me. I don't know why. I want to help people. And if they're interested in it, I want them to hear the message. And I can't imagine that somebody that doesn't want to hear it is going to click on it and watch it and like make fun of me or something. Like, I don't even know what my fear is. It's just,
yeah. It's a very real fear. We all fear judgment.
Yeah.
Right. We all fear that. It's human nature. We feel like somebody will, dislike something that we're putting out there in the world. And so facing that kind of judgment is really scary.
Yeah.
And there are people out there who do it. They specifically go out to intentionally make people feel bad about themselves. And that's why they're called trolls. But in general, they're not your people. Two, anybody else is going to see that they're the fool, not you. But it's because it's the World Wide Web.
Yeah.
And it can reach everybody if it wanted to. And so there is that fear of vulnerability, right? Because you are literally sort of cracking open and saying to the world, here I am, come and get me, kind of thing. And so it's that fear of the unknown. It's so common. I wish I could just make everybody understand that they're not the only one to feel that way. There's even
I understand it. Sometimes it feels, I must not be the only one, because it is a big deal, but it does sometimes feel like everybody else is comfortable when you're online and you're seeing everyone going live and they're just so comfortable and they're still laying in bed or something, like talking and live, and like I'm just like I can't ever see myself doing that. And it's only because it's the internet. I have a funny story. When I was teaching, a lot of times our courses would get recorded and used for marketing materials and stuff like that. And but it was never like out there in the world. It was like if somebody was interested in our class, we would send them this little marketing package, and it had like little bits. So they had to basically ask for it, which I was fine with. Okay. Like, again, I'm fine with speaking in front of people who are asking to hear what I'm talking about, but it just changes when it's out on the web. And so the manager of the school said, well, I put the last video that we made online on the website, or I don't even remember where she put it. I don't think it was on the website, but she put it online somewhere. And I was like, what? Like, I was like literally like hyperventilating and she said to me, don't worry, it's just our local internet. It's just our local internet. It's not the whole world. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to have to believe that right now, because that's the only thing I have to hold on to. And like, obviously I knew that was ridiculous, but like, somehow it worked. Like it somehow worked when she said it's just the local internet. Like
Very smart.
it is. It's this that idea that like, you know, you're out there for the whole world to just see. And that is where the fear comes in for me anyway. I don't know about other people, but so tell me how to get over that, or is it just do it? Just do it anyway.
Well, you know what? It is and it isn't, because you can't just like fully jump into the deep end and say you're going to be okay. You've got to kind of tread cautiously to start. So I always encourage people, start small, you know, just start by doing small little videos, commit to doing 1 a week or 2 a week, where you're just getting on and chatting, right? It's that, so that there's no agenda, there's nothing that you feel like you're judging yourself over. It's just getting online to your people in your group or on your Facebook wall saying, hey guys, just thought I'd put myself out there, and I'm trying this whole live video thing to see how I deal with it. And
can I tell you something that I did? I don't know if this is like cheesy or if this is helpful to somebody else, but so I am getting ready to launch my program now. And it's not actually out there yet, but it's super close. And I reserved the group name for it, but I haven't even started bringing people in. So it's an empty group at this point. And I actually went live in it twice. It's just nobody's there, but it just gave me, you know, a little bit of a feel for like when you see that live button go on and just talking and why, you know, and then I deleted it, you know, so it's not going to be there when people actually come into the group, but it was just practice. It was practice in front of no one.
Keep doing that, because you know what, we have this fear that as soon as we hit, you know, go live or record, it's that deer in headlights, is that right? And it's that moment where you feel seen and you're not sure you want to be seen. So what I tell people to do is, like, in the lens of their camera, even on their laptop, put a picture of somebody you are comfortable talking to, or a picture of, you know, something that brings you comfort, so that it feels like you're talking,
having a conversation
with that person and having a conversation. Or, you know, even a sticker, sometimes a sticker just as a point of reference, like an emoji happy face sticker.
Right.
You know, people respond to different things.
Yeah.
So when you put that up there, one, you're making your eyes look in the right direction, so that you're looking into the lens, so that it's reading like you're looking at them.
Yeah.
Because we tend to look at ourselves.
Yeah. I picked up on that when I was doing the live. I was looking right at the screen and not at the lens.
Yeah, exactly. So it brings your point of view reference up to the lens, but it's also because it's in your eye line, like you can see a picture of your best friend or your mom or somebody, then it's that, you know, feeling of, oh, okay, well, I talk to them all the time.
Right.
And then it becomes a little bit more comfortable when you think of it.
Well, I do think that there's an aspect of having a conversation with somebody else is easier. Like me sitting here speaking to you live on Facebook is much easier than me going on all by myself. And not and wondering who stopped their scroll to watch, and like who's watching me, and like having all that swirling in my head while I'm actually trying to speak with clarity is just overwhelming.
Well, because you're doing a great job here. Like nobody would ever know that you have a hard time doing.
Well, thank you.
Just by watching you here, right? And that was actually going to be my second tip, is bring somebody in, like have somebody with you, have a discussion, bring in somebody who's in the same line of work, and you can have a discussion about, whatever it is that you want to, whatever topic about your business that you want to talk about, because then it's two experts having a conversation about a topic that people are going to want to know about, and it doesn't all fall on you. The pressure's off.
Right.
And like you said, it's easier to have a conversation just to talk out into the abyss.
Yeah. That's kind of something that I've done a little bit here and there with Clubhouse. And because there was no video, and especially not even so much the video, but because it was not recorded. So it's not something that someone can watch 10 years down the road because it's still sitting there. It's just, if you're not in the room, then you didn't hear it. And that gave me a level of comfort in going on there and speaking, and then just having these conversations. And I did discover that I really enjoy conversating, like back and forth, and letting somebody pick up. And then when I think of something, I can jump in, but I don't have to sit there and do everything like all by myself.
Yeah. And those are great tools for anybody to do, because I mean, even if you're doing lives on a regular basis, just you going live, people enjoy watching a conversation. They
Yeah.
enjoy the back and forth. They enjoy what they're learning from both people. And so, there's a lot of coaches that I've spoken to who promote the idea of doing interviews or doing conversational live videos, because it's different, right, than just you going on. But also, if it is just you doing a video, do it from the perspective of talking to your audience, asking them questions, and getting them to ask you questions, doing a Q&A, right, where you set it up saying, I'm going to be live on Friday at this time, and it's your opportunity to ask me anything. And I mean anything. And then they show up and they type in their questions. You're like, oh, Susan, that's a great question.
Yeah.
Susan just
Well,
asked.
I actually really like this Zoom. I mean, I didn't realize that you could stream a Zoom call live. I knew that you could record it and post it later, but I didn't realize you could actually stream it live. So,
Yep.
I actually think this might be my next step on the ladder. You know what I mean? Is just having because you're making a lot of good points, and the conversation definitely is easier.
Yeah. So do what's comfortable for you, build up that skill, and then you can venture off if you want to. Nobody says you have to do any of these lives by yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I'm actually fairly comfortable on camera when it's going to be edited. And I actually, being a marketer, really like editing. I like to add a headline to the video and captions, and I like to make it pop and all that stuff. So the truth of the matter is, I mean, when I'm teaching my program, that's going to be live because I want to have that connection with people. But when I'm marketing it and just putting stuff out there to try to get people to the program, it probably will be largely pre-recorded anyway, just because there's marketing tips that you can add to your video, that I enjoy doing. It's fun to me,
Yeah.
that I would want to do that you can't do with a live video,
Right. Yeah.
So,
but, I mean, you can always take a live video, download it, and then do the editing on it and load it elsewhere too, right? Because it's always great to reuse material you're doing. Like in the program I'm doing right now, I'm recording them all so that I can post them all. People can go back and replay if they need to, or if they've missed the live coaching. But then I can also use it in future when I fully launched the program, and they just watch those videos because they're going to get the same material, and I'm repurposing what I've already done. But if you can make it fancy by doing all that stuff, that's even better, right? Because it makes it more interesting, especially when you're trying to save time so you can use your time to help people in the best way possible.
Right. Right.
So, nobody says this video thing has to be just you, and nobody says that there are rules. There are people that will try to tell you there are rules, but there's
There's no
no
rules. I agree. I agree.
right.
I
It's
learned that a while back when, especially in the e-commerce, when I had my little Shopify store and I was picking up um, tips and tricks on really how to compete with Amazon. Because, if you think, oh, I need anything, the first place you go is Amazon. And so it's really hard to, compete with that. And I learned a lot of stuff and it really became evident there are no rules. There's no rules.
well, and that's the thing. I think the only rule I tell people is be yourself,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
That's
that's a
the
must.
secret.
That's an absolute must in life. And that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned in the past 2 years is just, you know, there is 0 point in starting a business if you can't 100% authentically be yourself. And I found it very difficult to even figure out who I was and what I wanted. But I wasn't ever going to stop trying to figure it out until I did, because that's my midlife crisis speaking, but like, I only have so much time left. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, what else is the point? If I can't be me, then what can I be?
I I 100% agree with that, because I got to the point too where I was like, fuck it. If people don't like me or like what I'm putting out, that's okay. They don't have to.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with a guy last week who was trying to tell me that me sending a video greeting was, you know, immature and, not professional.
A
And
video
I just,
greeting in Messenger or something.
yeah, because he sent me a friend request. So what I do is, rather than just send a message, well, because most people who friend me don't send a message. It's like they
Yeah.
friend me and forget me. So I take the opportunity to send a greeting, right? And I sort of got to the point where I went, I'm a voice coach. Like, why am I typing a message to them? And I started doing video, because I figured it's a good way for them to hear me, to see me, to
Yeah.
kind of get a little taste of my personality, to know that I'm a real person and this is what you get. And so he was arguing with me, telling me it wasn't professional and it was kind of stupid. And I said, that's
Bye-bye.
your, yeah, I said, that's your
Bye-bye.
opinion. And so I'm not your person, and that's okay. And he kept trying to make me change my mind. And I'm like, no, I'm quite happy doing that, because
Yeah.
I'm giving a piece of me to people. And if they don't like it or don't want it,
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah. No,
But
I actually really like I've been doing voice. I've been doing the voice. I actually started just to save time. I have a really hard time keeping up with Messenger. For some
yeah,
reason, I'm always behind. I'm getting back to people, a week or two later. It's ridiculous. And so I just started doing voice just to make it faster. And it hadn't occurred to me to do video, but I like it when people give me a voice message back, because not that there's anything wrong with something typed out, or a link or whatever. That's all fine with me. But there is an element of connection when you can hear someone's voice.
yes.
And actually, I would like a video better, because I don't actually know these people in real life. So I might not really remember what they look like. I have to go back to their profiles just to piece the face and the voice and the message and all of it together. And video actually is nice. It's a nice idea. I like that.
Well, I put it out. I did a training on it, because when I started doing it, I didn't think much about it. I was just sending them, and I was getting quite a few friend requests. And so, vetting through those, and then messaging those people. But I was going back and looking at all the people who sent me friend requests who I never heard from again. So I messaged them too. And within a week, I ended up with 100 new people in my group just because, I sent a message, I connected with them saying, hey, you know what? You sent me a friend request a while ago. Thank you so much. I love connecting with like-minded people. And I put it out there, and the number of people that responded to me saying, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry that I didn't message you or that I didn't
I,
talk.
I yeah, I think that we're busy
Yeah,
and as people, I mean, and just in general, and the friend requests and the messages and the links and the tags and, oh, this person tagged you and all, it happens so frequently at such a fast pace. It
yeah,
is really hard to keep up.
yeah,
And for me, I started responding to friend requests like I'll choose an afternoon, and it will take me several hours because I just have a list and a list and a list and a list because I haven't done it in a week, and so it's a whole list, and I click on them, and I have a whole thing. I don't just go through and accept them, and
me too.
um, but I have a whole list to get through. I like if I had to message all of them, I mean, it's like, and you're absolutely right. I should be connecting with them. Just because we're Facebook friends doesn't mean that we're going to benefit each other at all if
Right,
we don't know anything about each other, you know?
exactly. And
So
that was
you are
my,
absolutely right. But I just think that we end up in this, I got to get this done. I have ABC, I still have to make dinner and do grocery shopping and all these other things,
yeah, yeah. And so that's what I noticed. Like we were doing a huge disservice to each other when you friend somebody and then you just kind of forget that they're there,
Yeah.
because you're not even sure if they see anything that you're doing, if they know anything about what you're doing.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. And
I
both
look,
ways. They
yeah,
might end up really helping you somehow.
absolutely. And I find too, that's usually the case, right? You meet people, somebody friends you, and you're like, oh yeah, they're a potential ideal client for me. And then you learn something about them going, oh geez, you can help me too. Like you and I are going to be in touch about this funnel thing. Because
Definitely.
yeah, it I think it makes me feel the way doing video made you feel. Um,
Yeah,
because
I
it's
get that. I see that
so
all the time.
we're not overdone. It just seems so overwhelming to me, especially the whole tech aspect. Well, I used to say I was tech challenged, and I can't say that anymore. Not after this year and what I've done. But it's such a habit for me to say it. But it doesn't mean it doesn't still scare me a little bit.
Yeah. I
So,
get it.
when you take the time to get to know people and you create these relationships and build rapport, there is always something that we can learn and benefit from each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's hard to slow things down, but you're right. It's important. It's really important to do. And um, I like the video aspect of it. I'm definitely going to keep that in mind. I'm also going to remember, I'm going to start, I probably won't be able to go back and reach out to all the people that I never spoke to. We've been friends for however long, it'll take me forever, but I will from now on actually at least start doing a little hi, how you doing, but
Yeah,
probably a voice or,
yeah.
maybe a
And
video.
a great way too to introduce people to your group as you open that up.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I mean, it's definitely a great marketing tool. It's also just a great qualifying tool, right? Because
Yeah.
when we have a process of choosing our Facebook friends based on a number of things, right? But I'm sure any entrepreneur is in the same lines as me, is where it's like, are they my target audience to some level? To me, it's like either can I learn from them or can they learn from me? That's what I'm looking for. Um, if we're just like on two totally different worlds, then but just because I made that assessment from their last like 2 posts and their profile picture and their tagline doesn't mean that, you know, we actually are, you know, a benefit to each other in any way. So it is just further qualifying people just by actually speaking to them. So you make a very good point. Very
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
I mean, video can be so effective in so many ways when we learn to embrace it as our friend versus like something that we fear, and you use it to your benefit. It really can make a difference in your business,
Yeah.
because I come from a teaching background, and there everybody learns differently. So some people, they don't want you to talk at them, give me a paper, let me read it. So
Right.
those are people that are going to look at your blog, or they're going to read your content. Other people are like, "Ah, I don't have time to read. I listen, I need an audio file. Give me an audio file."
That's why you need captions, Diva. Then you can hit them all.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, usually when I send stuff out, because when you record on Zoom, you get an audio file, you get a video file, and then you can transcribe it if you need to, or, you know, if you've got notes from what you've done, you put it out there. So usually when I'm offering things to people, I offer it in all 3 formats, because I know that there are all those different kinds of learners. But I also repurpose all my content. So what I put in my posts, I'll extend and put in my blog. I'll also send to my email list, and I also do live videos on the same topics, so that I'm hitting different people.
Yeah.
Because it didn't even occur to me until I talked to a friend, and she's like, "Oh, I don't scroll through Facebook. I don't have time for that." She goes, "But I read all my emails." And I'm like, "Oh, I get so many emails. I don't even open some of them. I'm like, is this interesting? Nope, I don't need this. Nope,
It's
I don't need this.
judging from the subject line, right?
Yes.
The subject line and or who it's from. You know, I mean, if it's from your kid's teacher or something, then you're going to open it. But majority of emails for me anyway is other entrepreneurs. I'm on their list because I opted into their funnel at some point, and there's hundreds of them, maybe even thousands. And if that tagline, that subject line speaks to me, I open it. I flag it even sometimes if I want to come back to it. You
Yes.
know?
Yep, me too. Absolutely. But I know that I don't have the time to sit and go through every email and read everything, which is also why I try to keep my emails short and sweet, because if anybody's like me, that's all they can take. I,
Right.
I don't have time to read pages and pages and pages.
Right.
So I consider that in all my content. And video is such a great way for people who don't know me, get to know the style in which I'm able to train and teach and coach. And they get to see a little bit, I think, of my energy and who I am at the core. And I
Mhm.
think that's what's so special about video in a time when we can't connect face to face. Video is all we have. And when you're able to be authentic and to really stand in who you are as you're doing the stuff in business, people can resonate with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
They can build those connections in
I
that.
agree. I 1,000% agree, and I absolutely do see the value in it and the importance of it. And I need to get over my damn self. You know what I mean? Like I just need to some extent, like we said in the beginning, just do it. But I do like all of your suggestions of practicing. And actually, I caught myself when we were talking about the videos in the messenger, the video greeting. I caught myself saying, yeah, I'll at least do a voice message and maybe a video. And what I meant by that was like, I don't even know if I have the courage to do that, but like I heard myself say it and I'm like, dude, just do it. Just do it. It's one person. It's one
Yeah.
person. Like that's it. So yeah, it does just come down to practicing and, you know, using everything I need to use, the conversation and all of those tips to just to get over it.
Yeah.
No.
And we need to understand too, we have this idea that we need to be perfect in video, and that's so not the case. And I actually circulated a video I did because I got a bloody nose in the middle of it. As I'm
Oh,
talking, I happened to glance at myself. I'm like, oh my gosh, my nose is bleeding. And I put it out there because I thought people need to see that it's
you're
not
human.
a big deal. Yeah, exactly. And when we can show that we're human and we're not perfect, people connect with that better than the perfect hair, perfect makeup, perfect lighting, perfect background. Sure, that looks great, but it looks unattainable. And when you can show new entrepreneurs or struggling entrepreneurs that there is no such thing as perfect, right? It's like we tell girls, the models in the magazines, that's not real. There's a thing called Photoshop that they use to make those
Yeah.
women look that way. That's not real life. So it's the same thing in video. When we can show ourselves real life things, people go, oh, hallelujah, I so know what that's like.
There's another point to what you're just saying that I carried with me throughout my whole entire career in skincare, because I was working for a plastic surgeon, and I had clients that had plenty of money and spent, they spent a lot of money on their appearance. And when you're aiming for perfection, you're never happy with yourself.
No.
Like, you never going to find it, because there's always something else. There's always, another fine line, or a little brown spot, or a little dimple, or, something, could be even something made up, in your own mind, that just isn't right. And so I agree with you in terms of the video, like, don't even try, because as soon as you're aiming for that, you're never going to see yourself as good enough to be on camera or
Yeah,
anywhere.
absolutely. I have a student, she's young, she's 13, and she has a project she has to do for school, and she's asked me to mentor her. She's writing a song and she wants it to have a message. And the message she's come up with is perfectly imperfect.
Yes, I love that.
And
I
I
love
thought,
that.
good for her, like for her to be that tween age, and she really wants to talk about, you know, being true to yourself and not letting other people dictate who you are and what is perfect. And she wants to talk about her own experience in that, and it's awesome mentoring her because it's
I bet.
interesting to get that 13-year-old perspective. And she also wants the song to be cool and to have a certain sound and all those things too. But I love the message that she's creating. She's
Yeah.
like, I don't want it to be preachy, but I
Yeah.
want people to be able to connect with it. And
Yeah.
people are totally going to connect with that,
Yeah. I agree.
right? Like
I
it's
agree. And I feel like she's got probably a pretty bright future ahead of her too. If those are the things she's thinking of at that age, then she's she's in good shape.
oh yeah, and she's like an old soul too. Like she's such an interesting character because even though she's 13, I have to remind myself that she's that young because sometimes I'm like, are you 30? Like
Yeah.
you're wise beyond your years, child. Um, but I mean, I learn even from my young students all the time.
Yeah.
And that's the joy of doing what we do is, we're out there to give value, to serve, to help others. And in turn, we're learning so much more too.
Well,
And
that's just another point to the whole perfection thing too. I mean, if you're aiming for perfection and you're putting yourself on that perfection pedestal, then you're never going to be able to learn from others. I mean, somebody who's perfect already couldn't learn anything from a 13-year-old.
right.
I mean, what you have to come down off that pedestal in order to
Yes.
be able to um, be open to anything really in life.
Yes.
So
Yeah. I love it when my students will turn something around and I'll go, wow, okay, you just schooled me.
I love that too. I love that too. My daughters do that to me all the time. I have 3 daughters, very spread out in ages. We're all very close, but they are not afraid to just give it to me straight and, come right up against me and tell me things. And, it's, yeah, there are a lot of times where I'm just like, wow, holy crap. She's
Yeah.
right. She's right.
Exactly. I was just thinking, TikTok's so big with young people. There's something you can connect with your daughters and say, hey, do you want to do some TikTok videos with me? And sort of get out of that comfort zone to do a 30-second that you get, I think. 30-second video. Put yourself out there.
That can be next year's goals, Diva.
Okay, that's fair. I'll give you that.
I mean, that's going on and being in front of all these young people. I mean, they're the judgy ones. I'm kidding. That was.
I was worried about that too, because I started doing some TikTok to try it out. And I was like, oh my, I'm going to have kids like just slam me. And they weren't. Like most were like, oh, I really love your message. Or,
oh, okay.
I was like, oh, okay. Great. So, and then I ceased, and I should go back because it's a different audience. And there's a lot of entrepreneurs who are doing quite well on TikTok.
I keep hearing that. And I'm just, there's only so many platforms that I understand right now, and TikTok is not one of them,
Yeah, I do the
same.
like
the ones that I know very well. And I know what I need to know more of and get to know better, but TikTok's like not even in the bowl of things that I'm trying to learn right now.
Yeah, that's what I tell people in my program is focus on one platform or one and two, because Instagram and Facebook are kind of connected, and really do that one well.
Yeah.
Get that one going for you, and then think about adding others to.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And strategically think about it too. I mean, the things about YouTube and Pinterest are that they're searchable platforms, right? So
yes,
it changes the game a little bit when, so you're a voice coach. I'll use you as an example. You're coming on to Facebook or Instagram, and just like you were saying, going into Messenger and telling people this is what you do. And then they're, oh, that's interesting. And you're getting them involved. It is different when they're like, I need a voice coach, and they go and search it and you come up, like that is very different. And not to say one is necessarily better than another, but it's a very different ball game there.
Yeah. I'm just starting to expand into Pinterest and YouTube now because I'm repurposing my material and I'm putting it out on YouTube and now Pinterest too, because I'm scheduling my posts and Pinterest is an option. I have an account. So I was like, it can't hurt. Plus I can lead them to whatever link I want them to go to. So whether it's booking a call with me, whether it's my website. And I didn't even think about Pinterest being a search engine, but you're right. And that's why I was like, well, if I can automatically do it in this scheduler where I'm scheduling posts for Instagram and Facebook anyway.
Right. If you already have all the content for it, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
why not?
So, and I would love to have a conversation because I do feel like you're ready to have a funnel, and like even if it's not an online version, but to put some of those automated things in. You definitely have the content, you have the platforms, so I would love to help you out with that and chat with you about that.
Awesome. We're gonna talk because I know it's kind of my next step, and I've been avoiding it.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be an actual online funnel. Like I was saying in the beginning, just like you were saying, you don't have to go live to every single person on the whole entire planet. And same thing for you, Diva. You don't have to have this wildly complicated online, everything's automated funnel, but we can strategically funnel people to where you want them to go. In a strategic way. I mean, that's, it's a dedicated process is really what a funnel is.
Right.
So we just need to create that for you, So
see, I just got schooled.
Yay. Love it.
I just learned too. I love it. This has been amazing. And you know what? I think anybody who is watching is going to say, she's afraid of video? Really?
Really? My heart is still kind of going. Like I'm kind of wanting to look at the clock and be like, can we just come off of live?
Your energy is so great. And there were people who commented, just so you know, and I didn't get back to comment on it sooner, but Julie mentioned, she said, it's so refreshing to hear other women talk about these really important topics, life changes, hormones, life. Thank you both. And I think, again, that's being authentic and being real. And just, I think people need to talk about those things more.
Yeah.
Right. And I think
it was a rough 2 years for sure for me. It was a lot of different things combined, and I didn't talk about it at the time because it was so raw. I wasn't even to my own husband, I didn't talk about it. It was just I was in it too much. And now changes are starting to happen. I'm starting to come out of it, and I'm seeing things for what they are, and I'm able to actually say, this is what I went through, and this is, what came out of it and what had to happen and things like that. So,
which is perfect, because there are people now who need to hear that from you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
I see that. Yeah.
Right. And it's often the universe does knock you down at the time when it's saying you need to reevaluate. Right. And it's not comfortable and it sucks.
But or the universe knocks you up.
Right.
In my case, the baby was.
That took me a second.
But one or the other, it's going to happen one way or another.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh, that's the best. Yes, or the universe knocks you up. But I look back at those times where it knocked me down, not up, and I'm so grateful for it now. I mean, it was really bad at the time, but I'm so grateful because without it, I would still be living in this.
Back then, right?
Yeah.
Back there in that spot that you were in. Yes. Yeah. I hear you. I resonate with that so much. And back there wasn't all that bad. I wasn't living a life. I was doing things.
Yes.
I was that's all I was doing. I was doing things that I needed to do to achieve things, but I wasn't living.
Yes.
I wasn't enjoying. I wasn't making any choices.
Yes.
Yep.
It's amazing. I love how you said that, because I mean, the main thing that really knocked me to my knees was my brother's suicide. And that was in 2013. And at the time, it was obviously, I mean, for the whole family, it was really hard to wrap your head around it.
Imagine.
But now I say, my brother's death saved my life.
I can see that.
Because I was avoiding dealing with, my own traumas, my own issues, and I pretending that everything in life was great. And I was making good money, and I was working like ridiculous hours because that's how I was masking, not dealing with my own emotions. I didn't want to stop, because if I did stop, I would have had to face those things.
Right.
So
I get that. I get that so much. Yeah.
It's like the rug gets pulled out from under you, and you're forced to stop and really look at yourself. And that is not an easy place to be.
Yeah.
It's not a comfortable place. And, I was kicking and screaming the whole time.
There are times in it. I mean, there were times for me where it was absolutely soul crushing. Like it felt hard to even breathe. And because I just didn't know, I didn't even know what would make me feel better. That's a level of desperation and despair. And I get that so much, but I do think that, there's only one place to go is up from that point. And for some of us, we do have to be in that point in order to go up, in order to make changes.
It really hit me when a friend of mine said to me, she goes, sometimes the universe has to hit you over the head with a 2x4 because you weren't listening to the messages it was sending you.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like,
yeah.
And she was totally right. There were many times I was getting those messages and I was ignoring it. So that was the moment I went, okay. So instead of saying, why me, I can now ask, why am I meant to go through this? Like, why is this for me?
Right.
And it changed my perspective, and it changed how I started to heal and move forward to where I am now. So it's interesting, but I think, like what you were talking about, the midlife crisis and the hormones and the pregnancy, it forces you, when you're going through it's hard, but when you come out of it, you can talk about it. And there's so many people silently watching who are needing your message.
Yeah.
And so, I love that Julie pointed that out, because there are probably a lot of women who are going to see it and go, oh, thank God it's not just me. Even though it's not, but you feel like it is just you.
No, I get that. It's kind of like the fear of being on camera. Like, I know I can't be the only one, but I do sometimes feel like I'm the only one, So I get that. Same thing, when I was going through it, I didn't want to tell anybody because it was too big and nobody was going to understand it,
Yeah.
I get it.
Well, this has been so amazing, Rebecca, and we've totally gone longer. Usually I say half an hour. We're like an hour into this, and we could probably go for an hour more. So I am incredibly excited to see what you start putting out video-wise.
Thank you.
And
I am kind of excited to do. I'm very excited to do it too.
Did everybody just hear that? That's like a complete.
Did you hear me switch it? I started with kind of excited. Now I'm very excited.
Words have power. So yes, excited to see what you start putting out there. And you and I are going to be in touch because you need to help me face my fear now. So
yeah, absolutely. I would love to. It'd be my pleasure.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being in the hot seat.
Thank you so much, Diva. It was wonderful to see you and chat with you.
Likewise. And we'll talk soon.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.